was watching this interview with Abby Phillip, and she was talking about a time where there was a scuffle.
There was one time where there was a big fight that happened at the table, and it was over some bullshit. I'll say it like that because it was honestly it was literally a misunderstanding. One person misheard the other person. And I had to just go to break while they were screaming at each other. and in the break, I was like, guys, what the fuck? Like, what is going on? What are we doing here?
All right, so here's what she was talking about.
Fight.
We do not have unlimited resources.
I think a lot of Americans
take care of other people.
There's a hell of a lot of people other than the black people who were brought here as slaves who came to this country illegally.
They're not the same as black people who were brought here against our will.
That's exactly what I just said. I said there is a lot
of
big difference. The black people.
There is a big difference.
That's exactly what I just said.
Difference.
That's exactly what I just said, Michael. Look and act indignant. That's exactly what I just said.
I said it. Let me just share Michael.
Other than the black
Anna and share Michael.
There are a lot of people from
Share Michael. I think you actually misheard what she. I think you misheard what she said.
No,
She said.
Yes,
so now you're in my
Share Michael, listen to me for just a second.
Is that where we're going?
You think I would say I would have advocated for black people my entire life and say something like that?
Anna,
because you've advocated for black people, great, congratulations. Last time I checked, I'm black, you're not.
Okay, Share Michael.
That's right, I'm Latino and my people are being racially profiled.
It is.
And
you have to remind me the history of my people?
Share
Michael.
Okay, we're going to go to break. We're going to go to break. Raul Reyes, thank you very much for joining us. Everybody else, hang tight. We'll be right back.
That's hilarious. Well, I'll at least show that because this episode features Anna Navarro, which I love, so let's get into it.
When you look at some of these interactions between ICE agents and the public, frankly, it's not entirely surprising that that's what's happening as they try to rush these people through the process of getting certified to be on the streets.
Okay, well, in all honesty, I'm athletically allergic. Could not pass the presidential exam when I was in school, could not do a pull-up for a nanosecond.
You probably do one pull-up.
That being said, look, I think this lack of not only the athletic aspect, but also the civics aspect is showing in the interactions we are seeing. There have been at least 170 U.S. citizens that have been detained by ICE. We have seen people get scooped up because they're black in Chicago. U.S. citizen blacks
Look at this
put
little
into
asshole's face. Look at him.
U-Haul trucks, in the back of U-Haul trucks. We have seen teenagers pinned to the ground. We know that there have been more deaths in ICE custody in the last few months than there were in the last 4 years. So, I would hope that even folks who are in favor of deporting everybody, I would hope that there would be some agreement that there needs to be rights, that there needs to be a process, that people need to be allowed to show ID, that they can't just be scooped up in that way and have their rights violated. It's just inhumane what we are seeing in the streets of America.
Or at least that the standards shouldn't be lowered just to meet a quota.
Okay, I just have to respond to this. If you are housing or living with somebody, an MS-13 or a gang member, it is very possible that you could get swept up in that. That is just a reality.
Listen, the vast majority of the people who have been detained do not have criminal records. 75%.
If you're living with a gang member, you gotta know that's a possibility.
That's the people that were scooped up in this residential building in the middle of the night. You're just making things up. You're making things up. Most of the people that have been detained do not have any criminal records or ties to gangs.
I'm sure you can find an example or two of this, but we also know the situations for a lot of these 170 Americans. And some of them were just happened to be in the same location as other people who might have been targeted by ICE and were still scooped up.
The teenage black boy I was referring to was in a CVS.
To Anna Navarro's point, that apartment building that they raided a couple of weeks ago,
Cooper over here.
that housed, frankly, mostly Americans, they only identified 2 alleged Tren de Aragua members. The rest of the people who were arrested, including American citizens, they're not gang members. So that's also happening.
Okay.
But I was asking you about the standards, because the issue at hand here is that the standards are not being met, and B, in some cases, are being slightly lowered to allow more people to get through this process because they have to meet a quota. And when you're talking about law enforcement, is that really what we should be doing?
No, absolutely not. And Unfortunately, this is not really an ICE problem. This is a problem across the board. I think as many as 80% of police officers are overweight. And so we've seen standards just decrease across the board. Now, my understanding is that they aren't decreasing the standards. They're just saying that a lot of people are failing. And I think that's okay, right? They have a lot of people who are interested in joining. Not all of them are going to meet the criteria. And that's the reality.
Oh, really, Winnie Cooper? Well, this isn't a position at Subway sandwiches, you know. This is a big deal. These are people's lives. This isn't something where you can just be like, well, you know, it's okay. We'll just allow it. Bitch, what are you talking about right now? You sound cuckoo.
A lot of people are joining because a lot of people need jobs. A lot of people are failing because we don't teach civic in schools, and that's a problem. And
they're offering $50,000 bonuses.
A lot of people are taking the job because of student loan forgiveness. And
you know what I should do? I should join ICE, get that $50K, go scoop up Scott Jennings and fucking Stephen Miller, and walk their asses into Alligator Alcatraz myself, firsthand. It's the Wild West out here. That's how it works, right? That's what you guys do. I should totally do that. Scoop up Scott Jennings' little bitch ass.
I hope they don't load the standard. Because the last I checked, it was the DEI candidates that needed the standard lowered.
Exactly.
But now it seems like the people who want to work for ICE might get their standards. Let's just see how this all plays out.
Exactly. Why doesn't that high school little Winnie Cooper say, you guys, they're DEI. Let's just let them, you know, we're just going to deal with it. How come you can't apply that rule then?
They're failing. The system is working. They have fitness standards. They have standards for civics. If you fail the standards, you don't get in. So the story is that you have a system in place designed to weed people out who shouldn't be in, and it's working. That's a good thing.
I will say this. So here's what we know, at least for now. In February, the requirements were this: 32 sit-ups in a minute or less, 22 push-ups in a minute or less, 220-yard sprint, 1.5-mile run. Now, the standard is 15 push-ups, as opposed to 22. So it's still 32 sit-ups, 1.5 miles, in slightly less time than before. So there's been a slight adjustment. Who knows why? You need to do 7 fewer push-ups than before, but
the standards were lowered.
Yes,
you still have to meet an athletic standard, and you still have to meet a civics
So they lowered the standard.
But standards still declining.
I also think, to me, also the civics part is huge, because knowing people's rights in this country is part of what you need to know if you're going to be violating them potentially as a law enforcement.
None of those ICE agents even know what civics is. They don't know what that word is. They don't know what that subject is. I guarantee you, they don't know what the fuck that is.
Enforcement officer, or at least you have the power to do that.
But there was another claim tucked into that report, which is the people themselves are misrepresenting themselves. See, they're lying. See, that's a decline of standards too. It's a matter of character. It's a matter of soul craft. So it's not just you got a decline of standards across the board. And too often you want to scapegoat the most vulnerable. It must be the black folk and brown folk responsible for the decline of standards. No, get off the crack pipe. That's not true at all. What's really true is the decline of standards across the board, and people acting as if they're so athletically on the cutting edge. And when it's time to take the test, they can't pass it.
And if you lie on your application, perhaps you lie on the job.
Well, just today there was an ICE police officer whose weapon discharged and injured a U.S. Marshal and the suspect because they were using the service weapon to bang on the window of a suspect. I mean, I don't know. I mean, these are the types of things that just seem like, is there proper training happening here when it comes to ICE?
No.
There's not. We've all
Clearly
seen it.
not.
And there should be.
I mean, look.
You definitively state that they're not being properly trained. Do you know that?
Because they're shooting dogs. They're shooting dogs in people's that have been locked in people's bathrooms. They're abandoning small children alone in cars while they. No, it's not false. Look it up. Don't just say false. I actually
abandoning small children. They turned the children over to HHS.
There were actually small children abandoned in a highway in a car in Cicero, Illinois.
How much more
specific would you like me to get?
They're not training ICE agents. Of course they go through
examples of what is happening.
Of course they're training them.
Well, they're training them, then they're not learning the stuff. They're definitely violating human rights, Scott.
Well, I disagree with you.
Okay, well.
Well, look, Scott, she had a specific example Sounds like you were unfamiliar with it.
I'm not aware of her example. Here's what I know.
Okay, so
under
you don't know.
Under Joe Biden, they didn't enforce federal immigration law. Now we do. We're having hundreds of thousands of interactions.
My point is that you
things
just
will
said,
happen, but she said they are not training them. She said they're not training.
Do you think that? Do you think that
She was saying a specific example, and you said it was false.
She said,
you just
quote, they're not
acknowledge
training
that.
them.
You just acknowledge that you don't know what she was referring to.
I don't know what she's talking
about. Scooping up U.S. citizens without giving them...
I disagree with the generalization that they're scooping up U.S. citizens.
There's 170
Well, there's over 500,000 illegal aliens that have been deported.
There's little children that have been
1.6 million have self-deported.
All right, look.
I know, you don't want the law enforced. I get it. You don't have to yell at me. You don't want the law enforced. I understand.
Listen, look, it is true.
Guess what?
That
On
United
this
States
table, black and white people can
have been detained by ICE without
detained and released.
Yeah,
released.
But whether you're detained
after
and released
hours
or days, your rights may still be violated, and that's still.
I think the only way for Scott to understand this is if it happens to him. Why don't we go violate his rights and detain him for 72 hours or maybe even a week against his own will, and then let him free, and then see if he just casually says, and then they're let go. A week later.
An issue that people have a right to be concerned about.
Can I just throw a curveball? The reason why they're often detained, though, is also because of the color of their skin.
Damn Skippy.
I mean, that's, again, a sweeping blanket general. Do you know of a specific instance where someone...
we got data for
honestly...
The answer is...
They got data for that.
The answer is...
You're saying they're not training. You're saying they're racist. I mean, these are blanket statements.
That was a blanket statement.
The answer is yes, we do know of specific instances in which people, American citizens, have been arrested because they happen to be in a particular place and look a certain way. That has actually happened. They're documented. So this is not guesswork that we're doing here. Yeah, but they're still detained. They're still arrested without their rights being given to them. That is still happening.
All right, welcome back. Well, what are they referring to exactly? Let's go through a few clips to show you what exactly they're talking about. So here's them out of shape. I mean, he or she, whoever, he did that on purpose, obviously. I mean, look at the way, I mean, he probably got tired of running and then wanted to just be like, oops, I fell, to catch his breath, instead of saying, like, hold on, I need a break or whatever. What a joke. This one was a classic. It's going to go down in history as being a classic. The guy, like, dropped his phone and went back and got it. And they still couldn't catch him. Alright, when she was saying, that the guy was knocking on the window with the gun, it reminded me of this clip right here. This dingus.
This video shows an ICE officer dropping his handgun during an arrest. He appeared to point the gun in the direction of the bystanders after picking it up.
Put the gun down.
Rafael Talisman, who recorded the incident, tells CNN he did not think the agent was going to actually shoot at him.
Look at this crazy shit. Look at this guy with the gun to the window. To the...
Lift your hands. Hands up in the roof. He's good.
Oh my god. Pathetic. This one is actually one of my favorites. It's so good. Look at these dinguses. Look at this guy. Huh? Huh? They're so confused. Oh my god. Okay, now, notice how the people that ICE is being aggressive with aren't fighting back. They're not being violent. But ICE is getting more violent. Let me show you some examples.
In clashes now between protesters or people standing by, as you saw there.
Look at this. Nothing's
with
happening.
Journalists in that immigration court.
Look how violently they're shoving these journalists.
Up against ICE agents who are similarly carrying out their duties of arresting immigrants. And this has been the tone and the tenor from the Trump administration, not only in Chicago, but also in Los Angeles and also
scrambled up mess. Like, I don't even know what's going on here. This is nuts. What are they trying to do? Besides terrorize, well, I guess this is San Francisco. They're terrorizing San Francisco. What the heck is even going on there? Okay, and then people are all saying, oh, well, he's taking the criminals, the gangs, the violent gang members. Well, what do you call this then? What is this? Are these scary gang people? Look at this, these people are at work. That lady was at work. Look at what, she's even in her pajamas at work. Getting scary gang members. Look at these, they're not violent criminals, they're literally at work. So I don't want to hear people saying, no, they're getting all the violent criminals out. Well, why are they going to warehouses and shit? Jeez Louise, man. But anyways, thank you for watching this episode. I'm going to lead out with this one video that the reason why I said, oh, pay attention to the fact that ICE is getting more pushy, more violent, even though the people aren't getting violent. Here's a very good explanation of why they're doing that. Enjoy this video. It'll explain a lot. And please like and subscribe. It helps me out a lot. It helps get the message out in general because, you know, MAGA's so loud. They're so loud that it's good to have some opposition, you know. Let's air things out. So, like and subscribe. See you next episode. Bye.
His entire plan pivoted around us rioting, especially on No King's Day. Hang on, let me see if I can find it real quick.
I have a theory, and please correct me if I am wrong. A lot of the plans when it comes to Project 2025, their plans, at least from observation, put forward all these authoritarian plans. Their ideas, would be pushed out, and they're expecting people to fight back. They're expecting riots. That's literally what they were expecting because they saw what happened in 2020. They saw what happened in 2016. They saw all of these protests and all these riots, and they were under the assumption of thinking that if they pushed hard enough, that people would fight back.
Okay, obviously go watch that creator's entire video because he makes a number of interesting points. And he brought up the fact that he thinks it's Project 2025 that hinges on this response from the people of like outright rioting. And I hadn't really correlated that before, right? I could tell that Donald Trump really wants us to be violent. I could tell that the Republicans ahead of No King's Day were trying to frame it as if it was inevitable that we were going to be violent and we deprived them of their narrative. But I think he makes a really, really good point, which is that Project 2025's success pivots on us rioting, of us giving them the response that they are so desperately, publicly, overtly craving. I think he's right. I think that the fact that the Republicans were just like, please be violent in anticipation of No King's Day, the fact that they are allowing, and I would say the regime is encouraging ICE to push against, nonviolent protesters engaging in their protected free speech. They're trying to manufacture riots. They are trying on purpose to stoke violence. I think that this creator is right. Project 2025 relies on us giving them what they want. And they're not getting it. They're not getting it, which is why the language is becoming more incendiary. It's why the actions of ICE are far more violent, why they are escalating. It's why Trump is so desperate to put the military in our cities, because he wants us to freak out and respond with violence. Because Project 2025 is founded on white supremacy, the patriarchy, and Christian nationalism, all three of which have violence at their very core.